Hello, today we are going to start our next module, module 6. Basically it is dealing with transaction. So the later part of the module 6 is already covered. It consists of geographic information system, big data and etc. So already we covered those topics. So we need to look into the first portion of the module 6. So students, you already know about what I mean by transaction and it is different from a query. So in the case of a query, you are only dealing with a single operation of a database, like an insert or a select or an update. Okay, but when move to the transaction processing, a transaction means is a combination of different database operations and that it yield a single result. Like suppose you are going to take money from your ATM, so you are doing many database operation, but you are only getting a single result, you are getting the money. Okay, so a transaction which consists of different operations and different database operations like insertion, updation, selecting, etc. So when you are getting into an ATM, you are getting the balance of your account. So select operation is working and you are trying to withdrawal, your account is updating. Okay, your balance are updating. So there are many select, updation operations are doing, and there are also some message of sending operations, etc. are working. So this is a single transaction. So you are doing only single transaction which consists of different operations. A transaction processing system sorry start. The transaction process systems are systems with large databases and hundreds of concurrent users executing the database transaction. So you are getting into a, assume you are getting into a e-banking system. So lot of users are simultaneously accessing the e-banking services. So when we are considering a operation as a transaction, it involves a lot of users who are accessing the system at the same time, and they are doing many database operations like airline reservation. So a lot of people are doing the same operation at the same time. They are going into the same airline reservation website at the same time and doing the operation. Then e-banking, credit card processing system, online retail purchasing, etc. So a transaction is typically implemented by a computer program which includes database commands such as retrieval, insertion, deletion and updates. So already said about that. So now we are going to check two types of systems which you already know. You maybe studied different subjects like OS, etc. So there are mainly two types of systems: single user system and multi-user system. So the frame itself, from the name itself, you can say what it means. So single user system is a system in which a single user can operate at a time. Okay, and a multi-user system is a system in which more than one user can operate at the same time. So DBM is a single user if at most one user can use the system, and if multi-user if many users can use the system. And multiple users can access the database simultaneously because of the concept of multi-programming. So you already hear in operating systems or some other subjects what you mean by multi-programming. So at the same time the system can execute more than one program, then we can say it's a multi-programming system. So at you know about the or programming schedule or process schedule mechanisms. So at the same time we are executing more than one program, but we are not actually simultaneously executing, we are concurrently executing. The processor is scheduling the process based on some algorithm like round robin or some other algorithms, and in that way actually the multi-programming system works. So multi-programming operating system executes some commands from one process, then suspend that process and execute the command from some other process, and so on. So next few slides you are going to look into some terms. So firstly we can start from transaction. A transaction is an executing program that forms a logical unit of database processing. And a transaction includes one or more database access operation. A database operation that form a transaction can be embedded with an application program. So you can embed this type of program or database query etc into an application program like C or Java or some other new high level languages. So one way of specifying the transaction boundary is by specifying the explicit begin transaction end transaction statement in the application. So there are basically different methods in which we can specify we are going to start the transaction and we are going to end the transaction. So actually why we are doing that type of indications, because suppose a transaction failed in between, so we need to roll back into the position of its beginning. So for that purposes we are making a boundary of begin transaction and end transaction in different applications program. So when a transaction started, it is completely isolated and it is had to run by itself and it have to complete the entire process of the transaction. If any one of the process inside the transaction is not able to execute, then it have to roll back to the beginning of that transaction. So next we are differentiating the transactions into two types based on what type of operation you are doing inside the transaction. Suppose you are doing only the read operations, then the transaction is called as read-only transaction. And if you are doing read write etc inside the transaction, then it is called as read write transaction. So if of course if you want to do a write operation, there is a read operation, so there is no write only transaction. So there can be a read only transaction, but there cannot be a write only transaction. This read transaction, that's the first type of transaction, and second type is read write transaction. Next, a data item. So data item means it is actually the data that we are accessing or we are updating by a transaction. So a data item can be a single record, or a data item can be a single attribute inside a record, or a data item can be a big block or a big data block. Okay, so it is actually the thing that we are dealing with the transaction. But from here onwards we are going to look different algorithms or different methods we are used in transaction, but it is actually independent of the size of the data item. That means it is the same algorithm can be applied on data on an attribute, a record as well as a data block. So the granularity of the data is actually independent of the upcoming methods. So this you have to study, you have to remember in your mind, because in following methods we are doing these two operations in all the examples. So there are two basic operations in a database transaction. One is it is reading an item and the other one is writing an item. So first stage of this module you have some theory. So in the first part you have some theoretical concept, then we can look into some methods which are used inside the transaction. So what do you mean by read item? So read item is an operation that is used by a transaction to read some item from the database, and write item is an operation that we are doing, or the transaction do when it wants to write something into the database. So read item of X reads a database item named X into a program variable. That means a database item named as X. So suppose you have a database which contain different tables and one of the attribute name is roll number. So suppose you need to read the data item into your program variable roll number. Okay, that is X here indicate that data item X you need to copy into a program variable X. So in the application program you are creating a variable X, and also you want to read some value. So you have to use read item of X. So you may be mentioning the name of the field in that particular read item of X. So it is a read item of X just indicating a function that used for reading the data from the database system. So on changing different application program, the function name will of course it will change. Okay, so in some you will write it like execute, or some if you are updating, you may call the function like update. So these two functions are just give us a sample function. So in order for dealing with the methods we are used inside the transaction, so the name of the function will vary according to your application program. So read item of x will read the database named x. So the data item x can be a block, a record, or an attribute. And then write item of x. A write item of x means we are going to write some item into the block or into a record, into a attribute. So the item is currently stored in x and we need to store it into the block x, or the currently item is stored in a variable x and we need to store it into an attribute x. So the x can be any data item. Okay, this is the steps involved in reading an item from the database, and steps involved in writing an item x into the database. So we know that suppose you want to read an item x, we need to first search the records block by using different indexing mechanism or somewhat. So already the things are inside the database, we want to read the data item. So first step is we need to find the disk block that contain that item x. So the x can be a block and a record or a attribute. So by using different index structure or B-tree concept, the concept that we already deal in our module 5. So we need to find the address of the disk block which contain the item x. Then the thing we studied that at a time we are reading the data item, you are actually reading the entire disk block. So we can't read like a single record or a single attribute. Suppose we want a record only, but we have to read the entire disk block. So after you finding the disk block address which contain the item x, you have to read that entire block into the memory. Okay, so second step, you can see copy that disk block into a buffer in the main memory. So buffer is just means a small size of memory, don't bother about it. So copy item x from the buffer to the program variable named x. So after that we have to copy that item into the variable name x. So the entire block is copied into the memory, and from that disk block which resides in the main memory, we will take the data item x and copy it into the program variable. Okay, so we won't copy the entire block into the program, we copy only the data value into the application program. But in order for doing that, we need to take the entire disk block first into the main memory, and from the main memory we copy only the required data in that disk block to the program variable. So then what are the steps involved in write item of x? So first you have to find the address of the disk block that contain the item x. So here we are assuming that the item is already in x and we are going to update the value. So if the item is already in the disk block, we need to take that complete disk block into the memory. So find the address of the disk block that contain the item x, then copy that disk block into the buffer into the main memory. So found the address, then copy into the main memory, then copy item x from the program variable named x into the correct location in the buffer. So the next step is, after copying the disk block into the main memory, you have to update the particular element inside that disk block using the value in the program variable, or we can say we have to copy the value from the program to the disk block which is currently reside in the main memory. And after updating that disk block in the main memory, we need to copy that disk block back into, or updated disk block back into the database. And sometimes the updation is done only there won't be any immediate update back into the secondary disk. So if we are not mentioned it explicitly, So the store updated block from the buffer back into the disk, either immediately or at the later point in the time. So that what I mentioned it. We have always the updation is done only in a scheduled manner. There won't be any immediate update for each update in the primary memory. So here you can see two transactions. Okay, transaction includes read item as well as write item operation to access and update the database. So here you can see transaction T1 and T2. T1 contain 4 operations, and T2 contain 2 operations. Here you can easily get the logic from the commands. So here T1 is executing. He is firstly reading an item X. So it read the content of X or the value of X from the database, and then it update the value, that is X equal to X minus N. So the X is updated by a value N, then pull back that item into the database. So write item into X. So currently we are considering all the write operations are immediately done back into the database. So next it execute another read function, read item Y. So it read the another item Y and it's updated the value with again N. So write item Y. So it's actually doing 2 updations. One updation is X equal to X minus N, and another updation on the variable Y is equal to Y plus N. And here also you can see another transaction T2, read item X and updating the value with M, and write item X back into the database. So here you can see 2 types of set, read set as well as the write set. So sometimes in university questions you can see you have to identify what all are the read set and what all are the write set items. Okay, so so read set of a transaction is a set of all items that transaction reads. So here you can see it read X as well as Y. So 2 items of transaction T1 are in read set, and 2 items in transaction again X and Y are in write set too. So for example, the read set T1 is in XY and its write set is also XY. And you can also find the read set of T2. So read item of T2 contain X, and write item of T2 also contain the value X. So there may be a chance that you are not updating the values, and that variable may only in the read set. So suppose you are just reading the item Y and some displaying the item in your monitor or something, it's over. So there is no updation, so there is no write item of Y. So in that case you have only read. Okay, but if you have a write, then there will be a read for that particular X. So next we are going to study why concurrency control is needed.